Today, I'm going to be testing out a new design, the Step Flow by South Coast Surfboards. We'll start with an edit and the initial thoughts, then we'll go into a further in-depth analysis towards the end of the edit. The outline of this board looks super interesting, with edge in the tail, a lot of width throughout, and a nice down rail. Can't wait to see how this thing performs. To support the channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Considine, and this is the Sunday Glide.
That set was probably the biggest set.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. That's my step deck.
I was super excited to get out on this thing, and we were lucky for some pumping waves as well. This was Chiz's personal 9.9 step flow, and in my arm it already felt like it had a fair bit of volume. I knew this thing would be smooth, but what else would it bring to the table? Let's find out.
First time Benny on that 9.9 of mine. What did you think?
I like it. It's super stable on the nose, which is really good. Locked into the section, super nice, and then super surprised by how much speed there is coming off the tail. So like you can definitely place it on rail and it whips around, I guess, right around you. So had a lot of fun on it. Yeah, I think the turning element of that board's sick. I just think it accelerates more than, I suppose, a really heavily rocketed board is. Lots of fun, yeah.
Cool, probably the edges will help it drive, and maybe that one was obviously, you know, that's my personal, so it's a little bit big for you.
Yeah.
But I think if we scale one down, you'll be having a heap of fun.
No, absolutely, it's epic.
All right.
I had a blast, locked in the nose so up.
Yeah, it looked insane for nose riding.
Yeah, epic.
Thanks, bro.
So the first thing I wanted to point out with this board is that usually there's a little bit of a testing phase with new boards and I guess making them feel natural and normal and like you're used to surfing. But with this board, this transition was really, really quick. Apart from nursing a couple of turns on the very first wave just to see how the board was kind of moving, I really didn't have to do much else and I really got into things in the next couple of waves. I do put it down to it being so stable and there being a fair bit of volume through the board. But that being said, it was very lively off the tail as well. So this board also ran through flat sections really, really well, really easily. If there's anything this board doesn't have, it's no lack of speed. Went fast through the really critical sections, which had a great feeling, but also when it was nice and flat. I do put this down to that flat outline and flat template with the board, which is a feeling I love, and for a number of reasons, you know, with your turning and everything like that, but it certainly generated a lot of speed. Definitely didn't need any kind of pumping or any fancy speed generating techniques or anything like that, which is really good, just pure smooth surfing. One of the most important things about this board that I did find was just the turning aspect of this thing was incredible. Probably you heard me and Chiz speaking at the end of my session about how responsive the board was and how, I guess, lively it felt under my feet. It's definitely not what I anticipated, given that there was, you know, this board felt pretty big. It's Chiz's board, it's a 9.9, which is, I'm usually riding anything really from a 9.3 to a 9.6. So a little bit bigger than usual, but it just felt so easy off the tail. This board, I think, was about 24 wide, so very wide, and it definitely carried this width through to the tail as well. But I think due to a number of factors, these being the edge in the tail, the down rail, and the fact that it's a step deck, really helped to emphasize how easy this transition was from rail to rail. From your inside to outside rail, the pivoting and the ability just to smoothly go from one side to another was awesome. And like I was saying with the speed before, quite often in longboarding, one of the biggest problems that we can have is, I guess, not having enough speed throughout our turns. And a lot of the time when we're falling or bogging a rail, it's because our anticipated lean over the edge of the rail versus how fast or slow we're going is usually inaccurate. And so what will happen is we're leaning too far for how much speed we'll have. We'll have too much rail engaged in the water for how slow we're going, and then we'll bog a rail. But with this board, as I was saying, it really didn't feel like you needed much speed at all to be able to transition super easily from one side to another. Had a really nice smooth rolling sort of feeling through its turns, which was epic. And with that width in the tail as well, I didn't get a whole lot of opportunity to do any huge carving turns out there today, but I can imagine there's so much board to allow yourself to put force through that tail, push a lot of water and create a really nice wake, which is something I love to emphasize through my turn. So that'd be something I'd be super excited to give a go on this board if I had more time on it. I'll be grabbing one soon, so something that's a little bit more suited to my dimensions as well. So can't wait for that. It was super responsive and I loved how that felt. And of course, you can't review a longboard without talking about the nose riding. And I did think that this board nose rode really well also. I think with the width in the tail, again, a very wide tail, I think that just helped to hull a lot of water onto the tail when you're nose riding, so it did have a really nice locked in feeling, and I was kind of hanging 10 in sections where usually I'd have to be pulled a bit more further back to the pocket, so that was really impressive as well. The nose isn't super wide though, and I actually felt like I was able to do a bit of navigation from the nose. I felt like I was able to kind of tweak it and maneuver myself there, which is something I like to be able to do sometimes to extend your nose ride length or nose ride time, because you're able to kind of rise yourself up, down, and stall yourself a little bit with these fine adjustments on the nose. And I think there's a couple of examples through the videos where I'm trying to do this as well, but I found that really effective, and it's something I like to be able to do. With our big kind of Californian styled longboards, usually this is quite tricky because it just locks into place, but I felt with this one I did still have that ability to be able to maneuver on the nose, which was lots of fun, as well as that nice locked in feeling which it gave because of that wide tail. So yeah, overall I think this board transitioned from tail to nose really nicely and was great with both. And so for those of you who are thinking, well, that's all well and good, but how do I know if this is a good board or kind of the avenue that I'd like to go down? I'd say that this board is certainly for someone who is looking for that more lively feel and really responsive feel off the tail, but still has a very traditional longboard feeling. It was really seamless from rail to rail, which is super cool. And again, felt like if you wanted to, you could exert a lot of pressure on that tail, as well as the capability to lock in on the nose. I think that was really good. In terms of the waves that I think would be suited for this, I really think that any type of point break would be absolutely perfect, whether it be fast or slow, because it can kind of carry through both sections. But I do think one of those big things that we've even spoken about a little bit previously on the channel, that connecting element, so being able to connect
your maneuvers and make the whole wave seamless and look like it's all flowing into one. I think that is an element that's really, really enhanced by this board. So everything from rail to rail, from tail to nose, it just moves seamlessly through that. So for making your longboarding nice and smooth and making sure that we've got all of those elements through, I think this would probably be a good board to enhance all of those different elements and bring them all together, rather than something that's just a good nose rider but feels a little bit clunky and a little bit slow through the turns, or vice versa, where something doesn't really hold through the nose but also does some really, really lively turns. I think this is a really nice combination of a few of those things. I certainly had a lot of fun on it. Thanks everyone for watching. Let me know what you guys think as well. If you want to get in touch or take a look at one of these boards or something like that, just look up South Coast Surfboards online or on Instagram. Tune in next week for another edit of the Sunday Glide, and this Wednesday for tip time. We'll see you then.